Today we'll be talking about the Hangman card. What's going on, Rich? How you doing?
What's up, man? Doing good. Perspective. That's my favorite way to look at this card. And I think that's what a lot of people need to be able to do in today's day and age. I've been saying this since 2020, since before 2020. Your superpower is your ability to maintain your vibration regardless of what's happening out here or what it looks like is happening out here, regardless of what the TV says is happening, you know, with all this crazy shit about war and the financial crisis. Are you able to just chill, hang back, and observe without letting your vibration get crazy and without, you know, just flipping out and losing your shit? Because that's how they make sure that humans stay in a low vibrational state, because they know what to do to trigger your vibration, you know?
Yeah, and I feel like the Hangman, it has that understanding too where things stop. You know, if you see this in a traditional reading or in life, it kind of reminds me of like when things are retrograde, the Hangman. We get another view of things, and it's always sometimes frustrating when things slow down or stop, but there's insight, right? It's also inversed, right? He's hanging upside down and he's getting a new look. But I also feel like it's one of those moments where you want to be able to not get fully stuck into maybe. It's like the universe's way of like being like, hey, before you make a move here, we want you to see something. Mm-hmm. If we're talking about manifestation too, it's always moments where it's like, it's something we're missing to see that the universe wants us to see. And that can feel frustrating because it's like, I want to fucking move forward. I want to keep going. Mm-hmm. In military, it's the same way. It's like, you just don't keep charging. There's moments where you stop and you be like, do we flank? Do we do this? What are they doing? Let me get some intel here. What am I, you know, like this is a time where before you react, especially because reacting is probably the worst thing that happens in manifestation, I'd say, is when your emotions get thrown off, and it's usually the dark doing something to make you react. Mm-hmm. And that's where you're really not Hangman. You actually put yourself into, like, I would say, like a non-illuminated hung person where you're just now stuck and now you're out of the flow of energy. Mm-hmm. Where this card, to me, it's in the flow, a natural, like, hey, let's stop for a second. It's like a log going down the river. It's going to hit something. It doesn't mean it's not going to keep going, but for some reason, maybe it's going to get a better position. You know, yeah. If I was a log, you know, maybe I'd get bored just always looking up, you know, on one side of the river. I'd want to flip over, and that's going to take me to get stuck for a second to get a better view and kind of wiggle around, turn around and see it all better, you know?
Yeah, I like that you use that analogy, because there used to be this meme that I would see floating around Facebook that said, only dead fish go with the flow. And I disagree with that. Because usually most people that I hear who make that statement are kind of like a dumbass fish who's swimming against the current, not going nowhere. They're not making no progress. They're stuck in one spot. So I say a wise fish goes with the flow until it sees a rock. Then it fights against the flow. Developing that relationship with the universe is all about knowing when to just hang out and wait and go with the flow, and knowing when to fight against the flow. It's a back and forth type thing with the universe, you know? You don't want to just be a dead fish and just, you know, be a piece of driftwood, a feather in the wind. But you also don't want to constantly fight and fight and fight when the universe is working against you. It's one of those things that you have to develop that relationship with the universe in order to be able to feel those type of situations out, you know?
Yeah, because if you were to look at the Hangman in reverse, it actually looks like if it was Christ being crucified.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Most people look to that idea as that's the most enlightened place to be. Yet this is what's inverse of like, he's alive. He's not dead. So I agree with you. I don't think dead fish are the only thing that float in the flow of spirituality. Yeah. If anything, it's dead fish that aren't here anymore. Dead people that aren't here anymore.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of idea. But it is interesting to me that people get really stuck on Especially what we're seeing around, you know, like this idolization of like what it should look like, whether it's an idol or it's something in their life or the thing they want to manifest. And when it doesn't look that way, well, there's a reason why. It's to see it from a different view. I mean, you and I are fixed signs, so we like to see things a certain way. And when it doesn't happen that way, it's about learning how to like not react to that and be like, okay, this is just the way it is. Let me learn to accept what's happening. If there's a crazy situation and a bunch of people are running, the hangman to me is the best spiritual knowledge to know. Like, before I run, am I going to be running into a crowd that's going actually into a worse situation? Most people react really quick. You know, you always see it in movies like, ah, and then you always see the chaos. It's also the part of you that learns to stop for a second and observe, because that's where you're going to find the right emergency exit. That's where you're going to find, or even might not even need an exit, an entrance into a better situation. But I feel like people look at this card as like, oh God, now everything, I don't need this card. And it's just like, it's probably meaning you need it. You probably were really frustrated. This card is the way out of the frustration, but we always want some other way. We always want a faster, quicker resolution in the way that we want to. So really it's like an ego death card. It's like, hey, the ego's not looking straight anymore. It's not looking correctly. You've crucified yourself. Let's uncrucify you.
Yeah. We always want it to be quick, that transition. And I think we've talked about this on several shows. I am telling my audience and at least 2 or 3 clients this every single day. You never just go straight from one level to the next, ever.
Right.
Ever. When it's time to level up, you will always go through this long, drawn out period of tests, challenges, obstacles. This whole year has been that for me.
Yeah.
And I knew, and I don't think my wife really believed it when I told her, but I told her, I was like, 2023 is going to be challenging. It just is. And I think she underestimated it, because I've been on the path. I know how it goes.
Right.
You know, here we are. We've been at the same level for 3-4 years. Now we're opening a door to expand and move to a different level. You're always going to go through a period where you're being tested, challenges, obstacles. It never goes straight from one level to the next. And I already knew that that's going to be the whole year 2023 for me. And so far from the way it's looking like that level up is coming right around the corner. And that's the whole path. I don't care who you are. I don't care what it is that you're trying to do in your life. I'm constantly having to explain to my clients, because they'll be stuck in this place. Like, why is it not working? Why am I not seeing the results that I want? And another frequently asked question that I get is, am I on the wrong path? And most of the time, the answer is no. People ask that because they're on a path that's very challenging. It's like, no, you're not on the wrong path. I actually don't believe that there is such thing as a wrong path. If you try to take a path you're not supposed to take, good luck. The universe is going to rip you off that path. But if you take a hard path, a path that's challenging, every time you turn around, there's a new obstacle. It seems like everything's working against you, but it's really not. If you're being faced with all these challenges that may be a pain in the ass, but you're able to overcome them, you know your level up is right around the corner.
Yeah, and that's why it's the 12th card. It's the understanding of Pisces, this card, where we feel stuck. Usually a lot of it, too, I look at this card as like, when was the last time you tapped in with spirit? Because we can get caught up in this physical reality of the challenges, like you said, and think we're on the wrong path now, where it's like, wait, hold on. Did I get too caught up in the physical so much that I forgot about my divine connection? Did I forget about checking in? It's like a checkup. Like, it reminds me of people tapping in, prayer. This could be a card for meditation for people. But it's that part where it's like, I'm in agreement with you. Like, the things that, you and I've told stories on here, but when I tell other people and you know, like, they're like, how in the fuck did you get here? It's like, if I wouldn't have gone on that way that looks fucking crazy, I wouldn't have got here. So I agree with you. We always are on the right path. I think it's more about like, are you taking the observations? Because it's really easy to just be fucking, it's like when you drive and you go on a long distance trip, it's just like, it's really good at first. And then guess what? It gets challenging. You know, the excitement when you get to 9 hours on the drive, the songs, you're kind of getting over the radio now. Now you're trying to fidget. You're getting, you know, oh, there's not a lot of places to eat. We got to eat here, and the food wasn't good. The excitement goes away, and then what happens is that you get tired, and then you start actually not paying attention to what's actually happening, and then now it can change your whole vibe or change your energy, and you got to keep going. I've driven across the United States so many times, and I do it in 3 days that, you know, I've learned those lessons where it's like sometimes I just go, you know what, 5 minutes, I'm going to stop and I'm going to get a better observation. Let me walk outside. Let me see where I'm at. Let me take in the energy here. Sometimes we just have to do that. I feel like the hangman's taking it all in. It's cold, but I kind of like the smell of this right now. Mm-hmm. If we forget about these little things, if you're just sitting there glued, whether it was the last 3 years and like, oh, what are the death numbers on COVID? Or now you're just sitting here and you're finally starting to get that this whole fucking thing that's going on with the war shit was like pretty easy to fucking see if you were in the hangman position and weren't reactive to it.
Yeah.
I've seen more TikTok videos of people screaming in their cars at each other now. Like, because they're a certain religion. I'm like, shit. Holy shit. I've never seen that before. You know, I'm like, okay, there's no hangman anywhere. People are fucking just not willing to look and observe and I think the worst part about when you don't take or accept, I'm going to call this the card of acceptance. Mm-hmm. You're accepting what's happening and you're willing to accept it and have an observational, better view of things to truly see what spirit is trying to show you. If you don't do that, you get easily sucked into a true place that disconnects you from that space. You forget about humanity. You forget about why we're here. So it's like the biggest observation to me of the hangman is like, well, we're human beings living on an earth. Don't we all want to have a great life and get along? It doesn't matter what religion we are or all these things. It's really easy to fall into the traps now of, you know, you're the neighbor that doesn't wear a mask. You're the neighbor who's this religion. You're the neighbor who they just keep adding on to the plate. And I think that a lot of the truth community is the hangman card. I'm not going to let the news just react to it. I'm going to stand here back, even if I'm upset. I'm going to look at this different. I'm going to observe for a second here. Let me take this in. And then let me check with spirit. If it feels right to me, then ding, 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 the light turns on. If it doesn't and I still don't have it, I'm not going to get frustrated and be like, well, spirit's going to show it. Maybe I need a couple more days. Maybe I need another week. Maybe in a month. You can't put time limits on this card. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Pisces. You can't put a time limit on something. Like, has to happen now. So it's a card where I feel like expectations just get thrown out the window and how you deal with it too.
Yeah, and I'm a firm believer that if we could get at least 75% of the population to do this during a time like now, we could offset this chain of events that's happening in the world because it feeds off of our reaction.
Yep.
The energy, the fear, that anger and the anxiety, that's what it feeds on. All the wars and the viruses and all this bullshit. If we could just get 75% of the population to stop, hang back and observe, I think the whole game would fall apart, personally.
I agree. I think that's where all that, whether it's the news, right? It's they suck people in to be like right now, it's all these crises happening. And so people like want to see the result, like as if they're watching a gladiator fest in Rome. And why did they do that in Rome? To take the attention of the people away from the emperor or the Senate and what they were doing. So that's why football, baseball, all these games get a little bite out of you. But if you've noticed in the last decade to 20 years of this wake up, people have like been kind of hangmanning away from all that to pay attention to other things. But what they still haven't yet is when crisis happen, like, oh, it looks like, it's almost like people want to see something happen back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like, that's like, if we want to get real deep, this is the card that is not being ingested by a reptilian.
Yeah. Yep.
The hangman is standing back and looking at like, that's a fucking reptilian. I ain't feeding that. And the only way you don't feed that is by being an observational, spiritual, connected person and not feeding energy. And if you notice, he's not only just like in a still place, but he's in a relaxed space, but he's also like in a, like, I'm okay with this. I'm actually enjoying the moment. It's not like he's unhappy. It's even crazier to think that he only has one foot that's keeping him up too, right?
Yeah.
That probably wouldn't be too comfortable. I mean, at least for me, I know there's a lot of people who are pretty agile out there, but
Yeah.
it's interesting though, because it's, to me, the card that doesn't get ingested or allowing the ingestion of their soul to a reptilian force out there. Because we're dealing with all the reptilians, ironically, right now, just got together and just went,
Yeah.
and they're just having a field day. And it's interesting to watch people just from last week's show to right now. It has just gone to full reptilian feed frenzy. Feed frenzy. And everybody's running around, oh my God. And now what reptilians love you to like define your own ego and self, defining off some sort of belief system that doesn't go along with others. Because that's where I think that the hangman's willing to see everybody's viewpoint, every human's viewpoint, every situation's viewpoint, and still remember that it's a human at the end of the day. Because if you're a reptilian, it's only your viewpoint only. It's not. Right, and that's where it gets gnarly, and they use all the tricks in the book to get you to react, and especially with AI now and all the shit.
Yeah,
I mean, this week there's already been things where it's like, oh, you're trying to pull the heartstrings off on, and I'm not going to go into those things. People already know them. I'm not going to feed that shit right now. But this is, I think, the most important time to be in a hangman position, because they already did that for 3 years to where you had to be that. But people are tired of being this. So you're just watching light workers fall right now because you're like, I'm tired. I just want it to be back to where it's normal.
Yeah.
Well, what's normal? We've never lived normal. That's why we're here, to be light workers, to shift it to what the real normal is. And then the dark uses the idea of the new normal, right, to make you be like, right, to suck you into their new normal. When really we've never got to experience what the true beauty of humanity's normal will be.
Yeah, that's why I've been saying that this is going to be the test. This is going to expose the real light workers, because what this is doing is it's peeling a layer back of the awakening. Because if you notice, a lot of people woke up over the last 3 years, but most people who are just now waking up, they think that awakening means I found out that everything I was taught was a lie. Well, that's part of it. That's the eggshell cracking. You know, when you start finding out that everything that you were taught was a lie, that everything on the news is a lie, everything you learned in school was a lie. That's just the eggshell cracking. Now it's going to get down to the next layer. This is where people have to start becoming in tune with their own vibration. This is why I teach manifestation. Yeah. This right here. Because if back in 2015, The Secret would have been a little bit more descriptive on the actual mechanics of manifestation, and everybody who bit that hook when it first came out and was a big thing really had a better idea of the mechanics of how manifestation works and started taking control of their own vibration, their own frequency, we wouldn't be going through none of this right now. None of it would have worked.
No.
So I think this is the catalyst for that. It's really going to make people take a look and think, oh shit, okay, well, I found out that everything that I learned was a lie, but they still have the power to trigger me vibrationally. So now this is going to be forcing people to take a deep look on the inside and actually take control of their frequency, you know?
Yeah, because once you're stuck, and again, it's very egotistical. The idea of the hangman too is like, if you think of, I used to play the game Hangman. It's a noose over the neck, and then you're hung. Mm-hmm. This is his feet that are hung. His head is not nowhere near hung. It's enlightened. And it's the inverse. Pisces rules the feet too, the two fish. The bottom of the feet are facing up, and one is facing just to the side. So it's getting an observation, because when you walk on your 2 feet as a human being, right? The bottom of your soles is the only part that doesn't see what's happening, but it's connected to the earth. And that's why Pisces is the dualistic and rules the feet, is on the top of your feet, is the observational aspect from what's above, and then there's the grounded, the bottom parts of our soles and feet that are the only part of our body that actually are never see as much light. It's not like I don't see people go to the beach and put their feet up and fucking be like, let me tan the bottom of my fucking feet right now. Right? So, that's the interesting part is there's a shadow, and this is willing to be able to see the shadows. By putting the feet up, the idea of the hangman is by letting the part of ourself that is going to be more aware than just looking at the veil of this film of the reality, but beyond that. But a lot of people don't do that in their own spiritual self. Mainly, I would say, in not like the spiritual world, but a lot of like people who just think this is a reality and this is a life and got to do it by this and got to do it by that. I feel like anybody on their spiritual journey, it's exciting. I feel like the hangman is the big test. You said it was about up leveling earlier at the beginning of this. And I agree with that completely, because no matter what's going to happen, it's going to feel like you get to a place to where everything still is feeling stuck, or it's going to feel like, is it all going to crash down? That's your great moment of how you handle it. Sitting at the edge doesn't mean you're falling off.
Yeah.
It's the observation that's like, I'm on the edge, but it doesn't mean I'm falling off. Having no money in your bank account and then knowing, but money is going to come into the bank account and not freaking out about it, that's an observation that keeps you in a good alignment. But if right now it's the what ifs, what if World War III happens? What if? Well, that's fine. The observations, that's fine. Until it happens, again, I'll be the hangman if that happens and finding my way through spiritually. It's about getting rid of that reactive, oh my God, I'm on the edge here. And then what if this happens? And what if that happened? That's not, you're manifesting that road.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be like, if you're in the middle of the desert putting Route 66 when they did it, it's like, oh God, we got a mountain up here. What are we going to do next? It's not like you're really thinking about manifesting, maybe a job in, I don't know, soap sales. You're in, I got to figure out the next thing. And when people do that about fear, and when they do that about all these things, they don't realize they're building the roads to the destruction of their life. It's not the hangman that causes it. It's the not understanding what it does.
Yeah, I love the way Dr. Joe Dispenza says it. He says something to the effect of all of the infinite possibilities in the quantum field, we choose to create the worst case scenario in our imagination. And no amount of creating the worst case scenario in your imagination is going to fix the future. If anything, you're just breathing life into that timeline.
Yeah.
So one little practice that I use that I didn't honestly figure out how to do this until after I went homeless, because that was my worst fear up till I went homeless. My worst fear was going homeless. And the anxiety and the fear of going homeless clutched me until it finally happened. And I was like, oh, well, here I am now. So now what I'll do is if I find myself getting, nervous about a worst case scenario, I'll just imagine, okay, well, if it happens, okay, here it is. I've lost everything. I'm living in my RV. It's cool. It's all good. And I'm okay with that. That's one in this weird, strange, paradoxical kind of way. Accepting and being okay with that worst case scenario timeline is the easiest way to release it and not feed it energy. Because if you think about it, that's kind of the way we're wired. And learning how to trick yourself psychologically, to me, that always helps me do it. Like, I just imagine, okay, instead of freaking out about that worst case scenario, I'm going to think about it happening and just being cool with it. Okay, well, all right. If I lose everything and I end up having to live out of my RV, cool. All right.
Better than the bridge.
Yeah. So strangely enough, accepting and being okay with the worst case scenario timeline makes it really easy to let go of.
Right.
For me, that's just one little trick that I use.
Well, I think that's going to be the major test here as we're at the major split of the Earth. And being okay as if you do end up in that timeline that you don't want to end up in, and being okay, like, well, maybe the universe wants me to be in that timeline to keep holding the energy. What if that's part of it? Nobody talks about that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
It's like I'm going to use a dumb example from Independence Day, but it's just like everybody, all the aliens have arrived over the cities. And what happens? Oh, I'm not leaving the city. I'm going to work and try and figure out the code of why I'm getting weird satellite signals. It's so weird. Jeff Goldblum in that movie. Everybody's screaming and leaving and in the traffic. And all he does is go, oh, I've figured out the code. I need to go to Washington. My ex-wife's there and I need to inform the president. So he goes against the grain where everybody's going out of Washington and he goes into Washington. He shows the code, is able to get in. And what? He gets in a nice helicopter out, and then he gets in Air Force One, and then he gets to go to Area 51 and gets to be with and then he has to go on the ship with Will Smith. The whole point is that people, I think, freak the fuck out, and they don't realize, like, just accepting whatever is gets you always to the better place. Mm-hmm. We always get to the better place. The right door opens up, and it's kind of a herd sheep mentality of, like, freak out, like, you know, just like, bah, it's raining, bah, bah, bah. It's like, okay, you could have used that rain to slide out of the whole herd.
Yeah.
Because you guys were up on the hill, but because everybody was freaking out, you guys went to the same fucking corridor where you guys are all trapped. Like, you know, like it just reminds me of like where people just don't see, like, if you just are okay with whatever the fuck, if you're gonna lose a relationship, keep seeing what's gonna happen. Is it gonna be lost? Or if it is lost, what's that timeline that's you can't see at the moment? There's that also what you can't see.
Yeah.
But you also can't be in an intuitive position when you're in a reactive position.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? It's not like if you try to get me while I'm doing something in life or I'm busy or I just got off the phone call with something and then you're like, do a psychic fucking astrology tarot reading on me right now. And I'll be like, no, let me get in my space.
Yeah. Yep.
And let me be in a good observational space. And people get pissed about readers, like, and treating us like fucking we're Zoltar. Fucking put another fucking quarter in and tell me it right now at this exact fucking time.
Yeah.
And it's like every time with people, they realize it's the right timing for things in life. You know, like, and that's where we're trying to move as a world, which, again, I'm accepting that the world isn't that way yet.
Yeah.
And to be a light worker, you have to accept that that world's taking the time it is and not feel like you're stuck or not feel like it's not moving fast enough. You have to realize that the right things are happening to make all the things happen, and you have to accept it. But it's difficult. It's not easy. Everybody wants to be a light worker.
Yeah.
I would say this is one of those cards where it's like, it looks like this most of the time. Because really, sure, it might look like, okay, you have gains in your quote-unquote reality and so forth. But the truth is what we all want as the reality as light workers isn't happening yet. And then there's always that moment of like, you're living your life by being observational, spiritually connected, and seeing a lot of unknown and waiting for it to show up instead of what's always known.
Yeah.
And getting so caught up on what's always known.
Well, I tell people all the time, people think they want to be light workers. And I just made a post today. Matter of fact, today, I don't know if you saw the Facebook page where the awakening experience first started. It was me in my home studio in Las Vegas.
That, yeah.
And this is how it started. I had no clue or why I was feeling called to do that. Interviewing people on Zoom calls. I'm like, I don't know why I'm feeling called to do this. I have no clue what the point of this is. And what the point that I was making in that post is a lot of people think that light workers and spiritual people and people who are good at manifesting have something all figured out. And it's like, no, it's the exact opposite.
Right.
We let the universe figure the majority of it out. I have no clue what the hell I'm doing, honestly. All I know is that I feel nudged in this direction and I have no clue why. I'm scared. It feels weird. It's uncomfortable, but I feel the nudge. So I'm just going to go along with it and just see where the universe takes me. And yeah, like you was saying earlier about the worst case scenario, sometimes that has to be a part of it. And it does.
Yeah.
Like very frequently you'll go through some challenges, some obstacles. It'll be scary as fuck. But like light workers don't know everything. The only thing that they know is that the universe has their back. So it's more of a trust-based process. I have no clue why I'm feeling nudged in this position, but I'm going to go and I'm just going to pay attention. And every now and then you'll feel the universe pull the steering wheel this way. And then, okay, I don't know why I'm going this way. And okay, well, we're going this way now. And now the universe jerks the steering wheel that way. Okay, well, we're going this way now. And then eventually, at some point, it could be a year later, you're like, oh, dude, now it makes sense.
Right.
Sweet. But you have to be able to trust that whole process. Some people, I want to be a light worker, and they get in and they start doing shit, and a couple months into it, things start looking scary and they freak out and give up. It's like, you ain't ready. You ain't ready.
No. Well, it reminds me of like, whether it's, we'll use health for an example. Somebody might be like, I'm having pains. I'm constipated. Blah, anything, right? And they go to worst case scenario, and it's because they don't want to accept the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
But the irony in it all is like, the other part of this card is like, you've been stressed, and most people think it's because of the problems in my life. It's like, no. Look at the underlying. It's always like, like light work is about like, right away, if I'm about to do a reading for somebody, I'll wake up and I'll feel fucking this weird energy. And it took me a while at the beginning, a decade ago, to be like, this isn't me, but I started believing it was my energy. Because whenever you're going to connect and do a reading with somebody, you're going to feel their energy.
Yeah. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So like, if I feel like I'm like having anxiety and panic, but I have nothing to have anxiety and panic on, I'm like, ooh. Now I know it's pretty easy for me to have that hangman and be like, I'm not going to hang myself right now and be like, and take this as, and then I can't do anything in my life and da. I'm going to go, that's the reading that's coming up. There's that. And then it will start. That's when the door opens up, and then there's more. Oh, okay. And by the time the reading comes, boom, the first thing will be like, I have been having tons of anxiety about this reading and da. Oh, okay. The other part too is like, people aren't paying attention to like, okay, let's say you're constipated. The worst case scenario in their mind is like, that means I'm not going to poop. Well, we know you're going to poop. It's not like you have anal beads stuck in your ass. It's not like you ate fucking 16 Wrigley's gum fucking packs full of 16 and fucking have hundreds of sticks of gum that you just ate at the same time to like get stuck into your fucking colon or something. It's like, there's obviously some sort of pressure or something that you're going through that you're not wanting to pay attention to. The hangman is like, we have to pay attention to what's underneath, what's actually happening here. Am I constipated because of this, or am I, instead of looking at the physical so much and then having the worst case scenario? Because everybody freaks out in their life, like, oh my God, but it's like, okay, if somebody, that's what does a doctor, a spiritual practitioner, anybody do? They give you a third view. The hangman is like, you're giving yourself a third view of spirit, but it's like, or a counselor. It's like, no, you're not going to die right now. You're constipated. And then a doctor, usually they're getting a little bit better, although in other cases they're not. But the good ones out there are going to be like, have you been stressed? Have you been drinking water? Or have you been just, running yourself to where there's no flow running anymore? Yeah. But people want to blame it on, well, I'm just doing this, or this is happening to me. I mean, number one, back and muscle and aches and pains all has to deal with all those kind of things you're not paying attention to. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's where this card sees, okay, that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's usually very quite literal, actually. That's one of my favorite things to kind of like study behind the scenes. I don't really talk about it a whole lot publicly because I don't feel like I know enough about it yet. But like if you're constipated, very literal. It means you got some shit you're refusing to let go of. Right. I mean, it's usually very, very literal. Very literal. And that's one of my favorite things to do whenever I'm experiencing some kind of like, I don't know, if I get like an earache, for example, or I have hearing problems that I've been working on healing for years now. And I manifested it because I don't like listening to people. And that's me. I really don't. I've been that way my whole life. Like, I don't like listening to what other people have to say. I'm very fixed-minded. I'm very stubborn. I've my whole life I've been kind of like a hangman reverse. So I've been working on this, and I think that's a challenge for fixed signs, and that's a way that I deal with, like for example, if I find out you're a fixed sign and we have a difference in opinion, I'm not even arguing with you. Right. I'm just not. If you don't agree with me on something, I'm just backing away because I know it's not going to go anywhere. Yeah,
but there's the positive and negative. The positive is when fixed signs agree on something, it goes quantum, and it's just focus on that. There's no reason to get in the art. That's how I am with all my fixed, but it's weird. All my fixed sign friends have been friends my whole life, and you know, they continue because of that.
Yeah.
And it's like no, I don't know. I think a lot of it. This is really weird, but it's like, okay, spiritually, you might be going through something in your life, and you know, you think you brought up the constipation thing. I had eustachian tube dysfunction in my ears when I started channeling and doing these horoscopes, where I'd feel like my ears are filled with water.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I'd be doing this.
That's
and
what
in
I
my
have.
old videos, I used to do this. I was every day, 24/7.
How'd you get rid of that? Because that's what I have.
Oh, so it would be, and this is what's really weird. How many times have you gone to the doctor? It's been a situation for months, weeks, and it doesn't happen while you're at the doctor. So I went to 2 fucking, I forgot what the ear doctors are called, and they went inside my eustachian tubes and they're like, it's perfect in there. I don't know what the fuck's going on with you. And then they tried to give me some, you know, some like medication, like to open up my nasal passages and so forth. And that didn't do shit. But what it was anxiety in the mind is connected with the ears, right? Like, and I was running in so much anxiety, and I also didn't want to hear what the solution was that was being told to me that I didn't want to do. Like, I didn't want to face the things to deal with my anxiety. Period. I was like, nope, that's not the way. The spiritual community won't accept it. I don't want to have to go see a therapist. I don't want to do this. Or if I was in a bad relationship, nope, I don't want to accept that. Whatever you're hearing that you know you need to change and you don't want to, the second I did that, it went away. It was fucking gnarly. And I thought I was going to live with that for the rest of my life. I went for like 2.5 years with it, which is horrible because it actually is what created the anxiety.
Yeah.
I watched my anxiety once I got out of it, and I did a hangman observation. Like, my anxiety started when my eustachian tube dysfunction started. And it got worse and it got worse, and my anxiety got worse. Because it's like one of those uncomfortable things. Like, you could be you can't even talk to people, or make you feel all weird, and then you're having to like clear your ears out. And that was a very difficult fucking time in my life to fucking go into the fucking doctors, going to all of that, and no answers. Except it was the answer that the universe was telling me, and it's something that the hangman, it's within you. It's within your own enlightenment from spirit.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
It is difficult because I've been working on it for a few years now, because I've had hearing problems pretty much my whole life. And just within the past 2 or 3 years, I've really been getting big on self-healing, healing myself, like figuring out, you know, I had asthma when I was a kid and little things like that. And I've been real big on healing myself, getting in touch with my frequency, my body, and figuring out how I'm manifesting some of the issues. And hearing loss, hearing problems is one of them. And I figured out I don't like listening to what other people have to say. And I still struggle with it. I'm still really having a hard time being open to other people's opinions. Like, I'm the type of person, I don't give a fuck what your opinion is. Don't give a fuck. Your opinion means less to me than what kind of underwear my neighbor's wearing, you know? And it's like, well, maybe I should be a little bit more.
Less than that, huh? Fuck.
Maybe I should be open.
Damn, they're wearing Hanes.
I should probably be open to wanting to hear other people's opinions and being a little bit more open. But I have a really hard time being very fixed-minded and very closed-minded when it comes to a lot of things. When I have my opinion is what it is, because I've done research for this many years and I've studied this, and when I get my opinion fixed, it's fucking fixed, and ain't nothing nobody can tell me. So I've really been working for the past few years on being more flexible, but I still struggle with that a lot. And I think that's one of the main reasons why my hearing is still hasn't corrected itself just yet, because I still haven't quite figured out how to care about other people's opinions, because I honestly don't. I think I should. Like, maybe that's a character defect of mine. I don't know, but that's...
Yeah, and it could also be, like, I think now with mine, it was like, maybe I wasn't feeling like I was being heard, right? So that's why I had it, right? So it could be one or the other, like what we're not hearing in any way. We're not wanting to hear, we're not getting heard.
Yeah.
And that's what's hard, I think. But I think also at the same time too, it's like, okay, whatever it is, it's just like doing that inner work and listening. Like with High Vibe and the website and all that, like, and the whole network, like there's a team that I work with that helps me with this whole thing that I pay. And they offer this cool, like for members only that work with them, like this, they did a review of High Vibe and it was like a month and a half ago. And of course it wasn't easy to have the site picked apart, right? After especially like 2.5 years ago, I worked with the developer and we did it to where it was all this, and especially the money it cost me to have the video work with an app to all that shit at the front of the website. And he's like, this is all just wasted space. I don't like this. And I just sat there and I went, let me actually listen to this guy and let me actually like take it in. And I took it in and I redid the website like 2.5 weeks ago, and it was like the best fucking thing I ever did. And so I actually listened to all the advice he had given. It fucking really fucking helped.
Yeah.
And it was like, thank God I got that. So maybe, you know, the hangman also is willing to take everything, criticism. Somebody makes fun of you, whatever.
Yeah.
Somebody comes up to you and whatever, you know. And also, you know, I know in love readings when I saw this card, I'd be like, okay, you're definitely dealing with somebody who's still observing whether or not they're going to do it or not, which that sometimes is a bad thing and sometimes it's a good thing. The good part of it is like maybe they're making sure that they're not going to fuck you over by, are they really ready for a relationship? They're having that last moment, which isn't a bad thing. They might have thought it at first, then there's like a question about it, and then like their last observation, like, no, for sure, I got all the confirmation from the universe that this is what I want to do. Okay, I'm going. But we're living in a society where it's like, if you don't know right now and fucking you don't do it, then you never did. And it's like, whoa. It's like when you go buy a car, it's like, yeah, I want to buy this car, boom, the deal's ready, and there it is right in front of you. And it's like, okay, well, that's the payment. I mean, I was all excited, you're all excited, and then I want to make sure again, yeah, okay. I've ran it through a second time, I ran it through a third time, I've seen it from this angle now. Now I'm actually here. Yeah, okay, I'm taking the second. All right, let's go. But we live in a world where it's like, oh, especially relationships, I think this card gets read in such negative ways where it's like, somebody might be stalled, but is it maybe so they don't fuck you? Because wouldn't it be worse if somebody said they wanted to be with it and then they went against themselves, didn't take this hangman moment, get the clear light that maybe they're not ready, and say, oh yeah, let's do this. And then 2 weeks down the road, they're like, I'm over it, fuck you, and then they fuck somebody else or whatever, right? Like,
yeah.
The hangman's one of those weird ones where it's like, give the person the time. Of course, everybody has their own time that they want everything on.
Yeah.
It's not like you just sit and wait for 12 years and wait 12 years for somebody.
Yeah.
Then you're creepball weirdo. You know what I mean? Like,
well, like I tell a lot of my clients too, because you know the majority. I don't know if you've looked at your statistics or not, but I think the last time I looked, my audience is like 60% between the ages of like 25 and 45. So most of us, by the time we're in our, you know, late 20s, early 30s, early 40s, we've been fucked over before. We've heard it all. We've heard every lie. We've had every game run on us. We've had somebody, how many times have you had somebody swear up and down, I'm not going to do that to you like that person did. You've never met nobody like me before. I'm different than all the rest. And they swear on their fucking mom's grave and everything that's sacred to them that they're not going to do this thing to you. And then they turn around and fucking do it anyway. We've all had that happen. So I tell my audience all the time, how do you prove to somebody? How do you prove it? I mean, they've probably already heard it a million times. How do you prove to somebody that you're not that person? How do you prove it? Time and consistency. Time and consistency. So you got to show up, show out, be who you say you are. Your actions match up with your words. When you say you're going to do something, you do it consistently. And after a certain point, and I think that's where, you know, there's no blanket statement, you know, of course not 12 years,
no.
But after a certain point, 3 or 4 months of watching somebody be consistent, then your guard should start to come down and be like, oh, maybe this person is the real deal then, you know?
yeah, I agree. Cause I feel like there's too much, like there's too much rushing in to save the day or accept anything quick.
Yeah.
In relationships, in fucking the news right now, and right, it's just like Russian. Mm-hmm. Like, but this also is a card though that I feel like it's more reversed usually if somebody's like, I want to understand that I'm supposed to do this in my life, but they've already been in the hangman, and so they're stalling. And I think that that's the one part of the shadow part of this card is like the stall. It's the person that goes to college and then gets a master's and then gets a doctorate, and then, oh yeah, I'm waiting to find the right place where I can start my practice. But they really don't want to start. I'm going to go get another degree. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go get another thing, right? Or like, yeah, I'm going to be this, but I'm going to get close, but I'm not going to really do it. I'm going to take another class.
Yeah.
It's like people, when they ask me, like, how did you become an astrologer? It's just like, geez, I don't know. I've said it on so many interviews, television shows, said it on so many schools. I teach schools. I do everything, right? It's really interesting. It's like people like say they want to be astrologers, and I've had tens of thousands of students. But like the amount that actually have done it, I don't know, 1% to 3% probably, somewhere in there. Mm-hmm. A lot of people always go, I gotta still get out of this. I still gotta I gotta let go of this. And so people can get stuck in a loop of being in the hangman. Like, I'm waiting for that moment. Yeah. I'm waiting for that moment. Yet they're in the moment. They're in the, and I think that's where this card can be really frustrating. Is that's the real hung position. When you're awoke, you've already got the enlightenment, and you're not acting on it.
Yeah.
You're not. You're fighting for. You want like 5 lights now. It's one illumination that's divine that brings it all in. You're looking for that 5 times. It's just like that. Now it's like you're asking for 5 orgasms in a minute. Now chicks do that really great. Guys, I guess there's already going to be some fucking fool out there who's going to already be like, dude, I fucking am the Kundalini master. And I fucking know everything about whatever. Yeah. All I'm just saying is, it's just like, people are looking for too much too fast, while at the same time they want to be too much. And they have the ability to do it, but they want more to tell them to go do it when spirit's already, that's the hard card. Is this card can be, I think, people who want to do things where it's usually a responsibility thing, because this is a responsible card. It's responsible enough to take the moment to be and get an observation of things. Yeah. But people use that as the world's against me, or this isn't happening, or I want to be this, but I don't know. It's like, okay, you're way too hung out now. You're hung out to dry. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nobody's gonna want to wear that shirt anymore. It's been outside for 3 weeks. Yeah. It's got dirt on it now. It's not clean anymore. So that's I think kind of the hard part of this card is the delays that you create within yourself when you already have it, and that you keep finding the excuse to not change or not keep moving or to keep going, and just keep wanting to observe something else. It's almost like it's very beta. Like I had a moment this weekend to watch a movie while I was watching. Sophie and I were watching Aurora, and I don't know why, but it was cheap. I was on Apple TV, and it was like $4. It was Can't Hardly Wait. I'm like, I haven't watched this movie since I was in high school. And if I could put that movie on, and that whole movie is about a guy who wants to be with Jennifer Love Hewitt, and for 4 years in high school, he wrote a letter, and he wouldn't give her the letter, and he wouldn't act upon what he thought he knew. He was even getting signs from the music and everything, and she just broke up, and they just graduated, and he was such a puss that literally he threw the letter away, and the yearbook girl took the fucking trash because somebody threw away a yearbook, and then the letter fell, and then the letter fell on a guy who had gum on it, and it landed all the way into the house and flew into the house into her fucking thing, and she got it, and then she was looking for him, and he was crying, and he's that fucking, it's like that. Oh my God, I'm gonna wait forever to do what I already have got the enlightenment to do.
Yeah, you can't wait for that right moment. It don't work that way.
No.
Because I get that question a lot. I would put that on probably one of the top 5 most frequently asked questions that I get. Is somebody wants to be an entrepreneur in the spiritual community, and they come to me and they ask me, should I? I'm like, why are you asking me? You know, I think people get the wrong idea, and I try to make this as clear as I can. That people see people like me and you know, who are in the spiritual community, killing it with successful business, and they think that we just sat down, planned it out one day, and bam, you know. And it's just like, no, very frequently it's not like that. If you want to know whether or not you should, what do I always say? Try it. Start doing it. What are you waiting on? They're waiting on the right moment. It's never going to feel like the right moment. You hang out and feel it out. You know, think about all of the variables that you can possibly think about. And then at some point you got to execute. Start right now with what you have. Do you have a message that you think is important? I don't give a damn what you know, I started out with a fucking $100 Walmart phone and a $17 pack of tarot cards and a $20 tripod from Walmart. That's what I started out with.
Yeah.
On my it was a table that was made out of plywood with a blanket over it in my little 2-bedroom apartment in Farmington, Maine. You know, you see people go out and they're trying to invest in all this fancy stuff, and it's like, no, just start doing it. Start right now with what you have.
I know.
You know, and I think just people just get to overthinking it. They get stuck in this position for too long, waiting for it to feel like the right moment. It's never going to feel like the right moment. You know?
No. I was going to say that this card also is the illumination that you have within yourself in the divine. Like the best mentors I ever had didn't fucking cheerlead me to do it.
Yeah.
A good mentor teaches you how to fish, but you got to go fish. Mm-hmm. And they're not sitting there holding your hand. A good mentor is going to hang you out to dry, right? Yeah. Until you realize that you're not going to be hung out. You're the one who takes initiative yourself. Mm-hmm. I've never met a good mentor that's like, okay, so you're going to want to do this and do that and do that and do that and do that. No. Mm-hmm. You either come up to that level or you don't.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's hard about this Hangman card is everybody's looking outside, looking for the fucking golden orb that's going to come in their own self. And they're not willing enough to actually inverse themselves, hang themselves up with their feet and look and then see it, get it, and then go do it. It's like Merlin. It's like Merlin's not going to fucking... Merlin's so funny because it's not like Merlin's hands-on, like, here, pull the fucking sword out of the stone, Arthur, here, do that. No. Mm-hmm. People step up in their own to the level. And that's what's weird. We did the magician card last. And this is where the magician gets a new way to do the magic.
Yeah.
Completely new way. It doesn't mean that the old way is not bad. It just is another way to do it. And it's a way to do it better and more amazing. And it's a pause on what was going before. You know, we could be amazing at what we do in our lives, and then there's moments where it's like, why isn't it working? It's not working. It's just like, this is a new way to go do it now that's updating it, that's upgrading it. So that'd be like if we were all on our first iPhones with the first fucking iOS software and trying to fucking download an app today and be on YouTube and shit.
Yeah.
You'd be fucking having a panic attack because it wouldn't work. And by the way, they don't even carry 3G anymore. So remember that was the big deal with iPhone. 3G.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even be getting it. Yeah. And then with all the way the Wi-Fi is, it's different.
Mm-hmm.
You'd have to be on you'd have to turn your router to the old Wi-Fi. So people are I don't know, that's where they get stuck in, is they're just like waiting on something to happen so they feel stuck. Well, you're not in the Hangman, you're in the Hangman reversed.
Yeah. Or they're hung up on an outcome. They want a certain outcome. Because usually, like I was saying, I get that question a lot. Another question that I get very frequently is, you know, I've been interested in tarot and Reiki and this, that, the third. If I start doing this, will it be successful? And when somebody asks me that indicates to me that if I say no, you won't do it. Like, you mean to tell me that you feel like you have this gift, but you won't do it if you think you're not going to make money? Oh, you ain't ready. You ain't ready. You want to step into this business, you better be willing to fucking work for free. Yeah. You better be willing to. There may be no other industry on the planet than being an entrepreneur in the spiritual community. Money comes second. The
Right.
work comes first. That's where, like, if you're not willing to get in here and do this for free,
Right.
if you're not willing to, and just because of the work that has to be done,
Right.
then the universe probably isn't going to bless you with an income because you're not putting the work first, you know?
Right. I mean, that's like where the problem is with the strike with SAG, right? And all the actors, right? Like, they won't do anything unless they're getting paid.
Well,
Where the old way to get in Hollywood is you took gigs that didn't pay, but to show that you were great. Now everybody, before they even do it, just, I need to be paid this much, and I need a part of the streaming service. And that's why they literally, all the fucking movie industry and all the TV was just like, get the fuck out of here.
yeah, you chase money, it's going to run from
The
you.
fuck out of here. Like, you just want to get paid fucking like you're Brad Pitt fucking for this. Like, you know, like you want, and then you want all the craft services, and you want all this, and you want all that, and you want all this. We're not even going to make money off you,
Yeah.
right? Or Spirit would look at it like, what, you don't want to show up and do any work at all spiritually, only when it's like, here's your throne, here's your this, here's your that. And trust me, I'm sure you know, being on camera, we always want to look our best. Then you get to a point where you're just like, fuck it, I got to do the work, whatever.
Yeah.
It's not right. So like, that's where I see hang-ups too. The hangman, like, I don't look good today. Well, get the fuck in front of that camera, because it doesn't matter how you look, how you feel,
Yeah.
whatever. You got to do the spiritual work, and that's actually what gets you out of that funk every
Yeah.
time. Not, I mean, I'm thinking old times. You know, now it's just second nature. Maybe that's what the hangman is. It's how to get something that becomes second nature to you too.
Yeah.
It's not. You know, like the hangman is that feeling where you feel like, where are you stuck? Oh, you haven't made that second nature yet?
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. Yeah. If you if you go look back at my channel, I was looking the other day at some of my very first videos. You can see I'm shuffling so awkward. I don't even know. I'm like trying to shuffle the cards, and I look so silly and awkward, you know? And now it's like I could literally shuffle cards in my sleep from sitting and doing it 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 and doing it. And that's the way this has to become. That's when you make a genuine frequency change. You're writing new connections in your brain.
Yeah.
So yes, it is good that you brought that point up, because yeah, it has to become second nature. Once it starts to become second nature, whatever it is that you're doing, if you keep doing it repetitively, it's going to become your new norm. It's going to become part of you. And yeah, the spiritual work, getting on camera, yeah, I don't look good today. Well, tough shit.
I know.
It's not about how you look.
I know.
It's about a very important message that these people need to hear. So yeah, you'll if you're doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
I think 2024 is going to be the year that exposes all those people who are in it for the wrong reasons, who are in it for their ego, in it for the fame, in it for the money. And we're going to be put under some situations now to where if that's your top priority, you ain't going to make it.
Nope.
Because you ain't willing to get on camera and spread this message without getting paid.
Right.
You know, you're not willing to go do a podcast without getting paid. You're not
Right.
willing to flip tarot cards without getting paid. Well, you ain't gonna make it then. You're gonna be exposed and you're gonna crash, you know?
Yeah, I'll take it to a very primitive, basic level. If you're stuck because of a flat tire and you don't know how to change the tire, is it really a stuck hangman position? Or maybe this is the moment when you finally learn how to change the tire.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, we live in a world right now where, do you really think with all the shit going on and oil prices high and stuff that AAA or any of these fucking people that are going to be coming rushing as fast as they can in their fucking tow truck to help you are going to be fucking thinking of you as first priority? Like, are you stuck, or is it that you've been stuck on, I'm not going to get out and fucking learn how to just do what already every car, if you have a car that's 15 years old and newer, it is so easy. You don't need to fucking, that shit fucking takes fucking 5 minutes. 5 minutes or hours waiting, and now it ruins your day. And so I think of that as like, what is it in life that's making you feel stuck? It's usually something that's right next door that you need to be aware of, that you're avoiding doing, that you need to be aware of and be like, let me do this and let me get back on my way.
Yeah.
But, you know, people to change a tire, man. Even Sophia on the last SUV we had, she got a flat tire. She's pregnant, so she's not going to change the tire. Fucking, I tell her, use Mercedes. Call fucking, they come there. The guy didn't even know how to
What?
The fucking tow truck driver didn't even know how to see that the tire fucking was shredded out, like it wasn't gonna. He just kept trying to refill because they were Sport Cup 2s on there. He just kept trying to put the fucking foam in and it was gone.
What?
And I'm like, yeah. And I literally like, dude, you don't see that the whole tire's fucking severed off the fucking rim? I'm like, tow this to fucking Mercedes. She's getting in my car. We'll follow you to the dealer. I'm not even kidding. True story. We have it on live too. It was fucking mind blowing. I was like, literally, like, I had to drive all the way here to tell the fucking tow truck driver, tow this to the dealer, dude. And he was like, I don't know what to do.
What the fuck? How old was he?
He was in his 40s. He's been doing it for 20 years.
In
but
his
he's like,
40s.
he goes, these new cars and these new sport cars and the new rims and tires. I'm like, new? It's a fucking, we haven't reinvented the fucking wheel.
I was gonna say.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, geez.
What was different about that wheel?
It's just because they put Michelin Sport Cup 2s on there, right? So they're not. They're basically meant to not run flat. They're made to fix a flat that's got a Mercedes emblem on it to make it seem really nice with the fucking air compressor to fill it up in case you get a flat to go 50 miles to get to the next space. But because she hit a curb, it fucking broke the fucking, it severed the tire so none of the foam could stay within and create pressure in the rim. And the rim got not cracked, but was dinged wrong. So there was no way for it to stay in there. But he just sat there and kept trying until there was none left. And then he just sat there perplexed, like he didn't know what to do because there's no spare tire in the car. Like all the new cars, all Mercedes, any sports car, my Corvettes or any, they don't give you spare. They just give you fix a flat. And it's supposed to get you 50 miles or a run flat. No spare tire though. But if you get in a situation where you have that, and then with the way that those tires are, you have to get it to the dealer because you can't go to a tire shop. They're not going to have it in stock. The dealer will have it in stock, and if they don't have it in stock, you have to wait days. But yeah, like to where the tow truck drivers are just dealing with, you know, what they're used to. Oh, it's just a Honda Civic. Like, yeah, okay, I know what that does. But, oh, this new stuff, it's not even that crazy. It's actually more simple.
I mean, it kind of sounds like common sense.
It's very common sense.
If the rim was dented beyond repair, we got to tow it. And if there's no spare tire, what else?
Exactly. It's what I'm saying. It took me to have to get there. And
man, it's sad how stupid people are becoming. That's why I asked how old he was. I mean, it's already blowing my mind that we have young men in their 20s. I think pretty much your average 21 to 25-year-old man now doesn't know how to change a fucking tire.
No, they're really good at Harvard now, just complaining all day and just doing fucking protests. That's all they know how to do is protest or look at all the union striking. Ford today, 7,800 people left the Kentucky plant, and that's the number one plant for the Super Duties, the trucks, and their SUVs. And Ford's just like, well, I guess we're going to have to just find new employees now. Everybody's becoming too entitled for what they want, and we won't make any money. We're going to go out of business. So, you know, all these people are wanting all this stuff and not to do anything. And I think the ultimate hung position in life is like, make the most of what you got. If you're not feeling like it's fair, then go somewhere else that you do and do something better with your life instead of just sitting there and fighting, especially in these times. I mean, I'll use the astrology, South Node and Libra. What you think unfair is probably not unfair. It's you not happy with what you haven't faced.
Man, I'm gonna tell you what, I've never been a fan of unions. I just don't like them. Me, I'm the type, I want to be able to go in there and be in control. The one thing I'm in control of is I can outwork everybody in this motherfucker if I want.
Right.
So many, like every non-union job I've ever had, I always break company records.
Yeah.
Because I go in there and I get raises real quick. I'm outworking everybody. I'm running circles, you know. Them union jobs, like I've seen people.
They get lazy. Creates a lazy society.
They'll kick their feet back and just tell the boss to fuck off just because they can.
I know.
And it's like, fuck that. I don't want to be no
I don't
union.
know that light workers join unions. I don't think they do. They're not at a union job anymore. You know, once you become a light worker, you never go back to being in some sort of union. That's the irony, is like, is the union about doing good for others, or is it only about doing good for themselves?
Yeah.
That's the inverse of what a divine union is, or even the understanding of us unifying as a collective. It's not about what's best for my own self only, and we're only looking out for each other for our own shit. It's about what's best for everybody, and that's what's so interesting, is it's about being too comfortable in a union in the traditional way now. It's just like, I just want to make sure that I get all the money I want, and I get more because everything's going up, but I just want to be staying in the same place. I don't want to evolve.
Yeah.
I don't want to move up. I want my guarantees. I want my this. I want my guarantee. I want my guarantee. We live in a world where nothing is guaranteed to you except for what Spirit wants you to do. And maybe that the reason why the prices aren't going up, or there's strikes, and you think all these strikes are going to go good right now? They're not. Yeah. It shows that writers were more important than actors, because they needed the writers to get the TV host back on. That's it. But a writer is a fucking unique skill. You have to actually fucking write on the fly and know what's going on geopolitically, know what's going on in life, and you have to actually fucking figure that shit out. Every actor, though, is like, well, I was the background in this movie and I'm SAG, so I want to be paid the $800 an hour, but now we need more. Plus, I want all the extras, and I want part of whatever the subscription service that does it. It's like, when you're not in a union, you get to, it's not about, you said control, but I know what you meant. It's like, I want to be able to make a deal.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean.
Right? It's like, I want to be able to make a fucking deal, and what's the best for me and you, without these people trying to get in the way and saying it has to be structured this way. Because maybe I don't want all this extra bullshit. Maybe I want all this other shit that they want too, and that's the win-win.
Yeah,
but we're in a world now where nobody's allowed to have a win-win. They want everybody in a union. They want everybody to be colonized. Everybody to just be like colonized, and everybody gets this and everybody gets that, and you don't have to work that hard. And and you're not allowed to make a new deal. Only the representative of the union is the one, and the board that come up, and then they try, and when they lie to all the union people too, like, here's some flyers, we're all in on this, even though they're the ones making the decision to fucking strike.
Yeah. No, that's what I meant when I said what you're in control of. Because if I'm not part of a union and I want more money, well, then guess what? I have to work harder.
Right.
If I want to become a better paid actor, I'm going to be dumping energy into how can I become a better actor? How can I outshine everybody else in here? How can I be the most talented, skilled actor? So you got to work harder. So if when you're not in a union, you get treated based on your work ethic. When you're in a union, everybody gets treated the same. It doesn't matter if you're the hardest working person in the whole building or the laziest person in the whole building. Everybody gets treated the same. No, I want to get treated based on my work ethic. If I want more money, I'm going to show up and I'm going to show out, and I'm going to earn that money. That's what I meant by that.
Right, and there's no age, race, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because when I was 19, I never have worked a union job, but it was like I became the manager. And the manager was like 40 years old, and I was the assistant. And within 1 month, he quit. And I remember when the owner was like, I'm giving you the manager job. Let's see if you can handle this shit. We're too busy right now. We don't want to have to run another ad for a parts manager. Just take this fucking job. And I took it and I ran with it. I redid the whole store, made them more money than they had ever made in those 3 years. It was the best thing for them, best thing for me.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like they gave me a list of things to do. When you're a manager, you figure it out.
Yeah.
In a union, here's what you're supposed to do. And most people just go, I just only want to go up to here. That to me is the ultimate hung position, because this is all we really want from you, because that was what was made in the deal.
Yeah.
And then how do you think the people like how do you think a movie studio is going to treat all the union people if it becomes a bad deal where they're having to give all? Then they're just like, oh, these fucking people. And it creates a negative scenario.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
And I think that people get stuck in, I'm not getting enough out of life.
Yeah.
And it's like, maybe you need to look at it differently. Maybe, because we're on the union, maybe your union job is the reason why you're stuck. Mm-hmm. The most stuck position you could be is in a union job. You're not going up that much higher.
Yeah.
It's like, well, when I'm 50, I'll be able to get to this level. And then when I'm 60 and when I'm almost done, I'll have my retirement and da-da-da-da-da. You really think right now, when the U.S. government's bankrupt and your little retirement funds and all your 401ks and all this shit right now, it's going to go pay for a fucking war. And it might be taken away. And all the treasury bonds might be sold by China and by fucking Japan and all that. Like, people are just so not willing to look at everything inverse. And that's what's really wild to me, is that we're in a moment right now where I feel like people think that we're in a stuck place when this is the ultimate where you could just see through things and see. And I'm not afraid of whatever the fuck happens, because I'm going to know where to go, because I'm in this spot. Like, oh, look at that. Didn't react to that. Glad I don't look like an idiot on X over the last week saying this and putting out this and putting this statement out. I'm glad I'm not Ben Shapiro. I'm glad I'm not people in Harvard going against Israelis just as much as Israelis going too hard against fucking people in fucking Palestine. Like, but all of it is the same thing fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they're going to have to live with those statements for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
It's fucking gnarly.
Yeah. I mean, are you referring, when you said Ben Shapiro, are you referring to that then and now thing?
Just in the last week.
I saw a video, of Ben Shapiro. I don't remember exactly what it was that he said. Something about Israel from like...
Oh, I mean, no, he was just going like full blown, like of course atrocities happen in Israel. Zero. It's not like he can't be talking about those or be emotional about those. I think the whole world is fucking horrified by him. It's about the way that he's wanting to respond in the same way. And also not remembering that this is supposedly a group of people. It's not a whole country of people. You know, the way that he's acting is like, just kill them all, basically.
Wow.
So, you know, and he's obviously being paid to be the spokesperson of touting war, right? Like, he's obviously not a light worker.
Right.
You know, he's not trying to find solutions. There is no solution at this point. It's just the end of our people if this happens. So go. And that's always the story of anybody.
Yeah.
That's the story of Hitler, you know, which is weird to say that. And I don't think Ben Shapiro represents every Jew. You know, it's like, but, you know, it's like, you know, like you don't meet with aggression the same way back about people who had no part to do with it.
This is where now it's more apparent than ever that the right and the left are the same.
Yeah.
They're just acting the same. They have the same mentality. They're just doing it mirror image reflection of each other.
Right.
And I think it's, to me, I still hold the firm belief that now this is the big wake up call, because now everybody can see that, you know, the right and the left are doing the exact same thing. They're just pitting against each other like mirror image reflections, fighting at each other. And I think that if society doesn't wake up really, really soon and see that and take a step back and look at it and say, oh, whoa, the right wing and the left wing are on the same bird. Now it's more apparent than ever. It's so obvious, you know?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think that's what's hard is, you know, you want to be, whenever shit happens in the world, you want to take it in. I mean, I even when, as an astrologer, I predict, like when COVID happened, it was like on the day, it was like, and I knew it was going to happen. I still, doesn't mean I'm just going to not still observe and make sure what's going, I want to make sure what's really going on and be like, what's checking, what is spirit giving me a nudge of like, I'm on the right track, and where's spirit saying, no, don't go that way. There's nothing there for you. I feel like the hangman is like that place inside that we allow ourselves to know, like, yeah, that's a ping in the right direction. Okay. Or nope, there's nothing here. I don't even need to go look over there. I don't even need to put my awareness over there. I don't even need, what's even the time and energy to put it over there? And I think that's the problem is people try to lump everything in together and try and sort out, and they don't realize they're at a buffet now. And then they think they're just there for one meal, yet they just put 18 meals on their fucking table. Yeah. And they're actually going to try and eat it all. You know, and like that's me at a buffet, and I had to learn, like, if I'm going to a buffet, I'm just going to, if I'm going to eat Mexican, I'm going to Mexican. If I'm going to the Italian section of a buffet, I'm going to Italian. If I'm going to go to that's their special, I'm going to the special. If you have me walk with my plate through a buffet, I will have 4 plates, and I won't eat it all.
Yeah.
And it's always like, oh, and then it's never as good of a meal because I'm like, I'm mixing, like, you know, egg rolls with fucking, dipping it in my fucking spaghetti with teriyaki sauce.
Yeah.
It's just like, no, it's not, you know, doesn't taste good. So it's a hard card though, I feel, because people get it. I think people get stuck in their own way, and then that's what's hard, is I think people look at this card as like, this is a horrible card, when it's like pretty much like usually just like, oh, I just needed to be more aware of this, and boom, I'm out of the, it's like so it reminds me, there was the book The Alchemist, but I don't want to give away that book because it's so spiritual and amazing, but it's just so simple. It's always right underneath you. Mm-hmm. People go out and look for treasure. That's why I love that book. It's just like, oh, the great treasure to go find. And the whole time, in all the experiences you go through, where he started in the book, the treasure was literally beneath his feet the whole time.
Yeah.
And he went through all that just to get right back to the fucking... Mm-hmm. And that's what's hard, is I think that people are in that place. They get through a maze and they feel stuck. It's like you're continuing the maze.
Yeah, yeah. They feel stuck, and they feel, I think a bit burnt out with a lot of these people. I noticed this in 2020 because, like I said, when I was going through that period where I couldn't believe that everybody was buying into it and playing the game, and then somebody made a comment that it was a really good point, that so many people are so stuck and bored and jaded with the way their life is going that they're looking for some drama. So for a lot of people out there, I think the idea of a global catastrophe makes some people happy because hey, I'm breaking up out of this shit cycle that I've been stuck in for so long. So there's some people out there, I think, who actually enjoy the drama.
What do you mean? So did you ever watch Bill Maher's Religiously in 2010? His movie? He went around the world to check out the Christian, the Muslim, and the Jewish religions to show how crazy they are, right? And he did it with the director of Borat, right? And at the very last part of the movie, after he goes and interviews pastors, people in Jerusalem, people in the different parts of Muslim countries, right, about Islam and all that, he comes back and he ends with his final words, and it's so funny. He just plays from all three religions the end of days and how they're the ones manifesting the end of the world, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, he's like, well, what if a nuke goes off and da-da-da? There's like, well, then that's God's judgment and da-da-da. But it's so weird that right now what you're seeing is it the people who are religious creating all these crazy fanatical wars and wanting destruction? They want it because they want their savior to come. Mm-hmm. And their savior only comes when it goes to hell on earth.
Yeah.
Is that really a religion of God in the light? It's supposed to turn into hell on earth and destroy everybody, and then that's when you're saved? That sure sounds not godly to me.
Yeah, because if you look...
You know what I mean? Like, if you really think about that shit, they want destruction to happen because that's a sign their savior's coming.
Yeah.
That's fucking insanity. Mm-hmm. And so when people look out at the world right now and they're wondering why it feels so stuck, there they are, crucified, paying attention to the idea that I want to be crucified, so the crucified guy comes back.
Yeah.
Really? You think he's gonna fucking 2,000 years later as a zombie with missing his hands and his fucking feet, fucking walking around with his long fucking hair? And he's probably not gonna be white that they think that he is. Mm-hmm. When he shows up 2,000 years as a zombie walking around and then the nuke fries him and you watch your savior as a zombie after 5 mRNA shots that you had to pump into him to become resurrected. And then the nukes are going off and he's getting fried, and then you expect him to come more and he doesn't. I don't know what they're expecting, but that's why I love Bill Maher. I love him also in every other way in what he does, but I think Religiously was the most boldest movie ever made, and he even used all the spiritual aspects where he was just like, well, Jesus isn't the one, back 1,000 years prior, right? It's like, whether you want to go to Horus, died, fucking resurrected 3 days, born of a virgin. Like, he goes through it to all these Christians, and they literally just don't. It's, again, we were talking about how fixed science, we don't want to, no, fuck you. They're so fixed on their religion being the one way that they can't, they won't accept the facts of like, Jesus isn't the first Messiah to come with the same fucking story and birthday and all that shit. Yeah. They can't accept that, but they want to accept when the world's going to end, which they're manifesting for,
Yeah.
they expect a savior to come.
Yeah. That's funny that you said that, because that is so true. I never thought about that. I work really, really hard to intentionally program all of my algorithms, but for some reason, the YouTube Shorts algorithm is constantly shoving these Christian videos in my face. I don't know why. And they really do. Now that you bring that up, I've been noticing that. They're constantly hyperfixating on, oh, these are the signs that the end is near. These are the signs. I think it's kind of their way of trying to just to get that, aha, I'm right. Look, the Bible said this is going to happen here. My thing is, most of us who know anything about anything are very aware that the Bible was very carefully put together by the people who run the world. So you think these idiots would put this book together and prophesy something, so it's prophesied. This book was carefully put together like this.
Yeah, it was disagreed upon. It was and the Council of Nicaea in 325 was creating the first doctrine, and so they disagreed on many of them. They ran a first doctrine, then they ran it again and went, okay, we're taking this out and we're adding that Jesus actually has this power. He doesn't have this power, or he is lacking this power. He needs this power, and we're not going to have just a man. He needs to be a God. But that's, we're going to have to go monotheistic now. So we're going to have one way instead of all these ways.
Yeah.
We talk about the SAG strike and the writer's strike. This was when Hollywood in 325 was rolling hard.
Mm-hmm.
There was no strikes. It was like, okay, we got to make the best movie we fucking can.
Yeah. So you think they put this book together like this, that, and they're just letting it foresee their own demise, and because I don't know, man, it's hard to explain that. I think it was all planned out. They put it together and told you what they were going to do.
Yeah. So think about this. Every generation thinks it's end times. When power came, and we started seeing train crashes and stuff, end times.
Mm-hmm.
You go 100 years before that, the Revolutionary War, all this, end times.
Yeah.
You go before that, oh my gosh, this king's going to do this, end times. Every generation is prophesized that it's the end times.
Mm-hmm.
Every one since it was created in all three religions. Oh my God, there's a car alarm going off. It's a sign. It's the end times. But that's the problem, is that people don't really understand that they're manifest. That's what they want. They feel stuck here, and that's what they're not willing to look at is a different way. And they're stuck in their union job, going to church, and so they want the world to destroy so they could go to a better place and be saved into God's hot tub in the sky. They won't realize that Epstein's probably there and waiting for them in the hot tub.
Yeah.
They didn't think about that one. They put all their faith in without willing to look into other places, And that's what's weird, is they're prophesizing their own destruction of that. The only way, too, is the only people who believe in their version of it will go, and everybody won't go.
Yeah. So how do we put an end to that cycle when we actually have people looking forward to this? That's a pretty fucking brilliant plan, though, if you think about that.
Yeah.
That's pretty damn smart. I've always been really irritated when I hear people talk about how brilliant, the people who run the world are. I'm like, you don't have to be brilliant to get people to trust you and then fuck them over. That's not brilliant. That makes you a piece of shit. But that is brilliant. Getting people to look forward to the end times. And then anytime you want to start some chaos, you just start some chaos and let everybody believe it's the end times. And people are looking forward to it. They're wanting it. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
They're actually like, oh no, that's God's judgment.
Yeah.
And I'm ready for it. So if you think of people behind the button of a nuclear bomb to making decisions in military to making decisions in government, they're all making it off their own religious thing. And if they're not, and the only way in religion to make it is you have to stay in whether it's the church or your synagogue or fucking your mosque, you have to be proving, because everybody around you is judging you, your friends, your family, your neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
So like, if you do something wrong from the way it's supposed to be, you know, then sometimes you're going to try and prove it more and be like, I did this, and I'm helping the end times. I'm getting rid of that religion. I pushed the bomb.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I didn't go to church the last 4 weeks. You guys going to accept me now? You like me now? Cash me outside? I'm a better Christian than you. You know, like that's what scares me, is like that. That's what happens, right? Like people get kind of excommunicated out of a church, like they got a divorce because they were trying to raise their vibration, but then they're looked at as shunned upon because they were with, I don't know. It's scary because in church life too, usually like the woman's probably, or the man who's cheating is probably fucking dealing with some fucked up situation that they're dealing with, or the person who's on the wrong side of that is probably somebody in the church doing something other wrong, and they push people out. It's crazy how they do things. And that's what scares me, is then, oh, you know what, I want to make myself back in, and I have to show something of extreme high accord, higher than everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
Right? So that's gang, it's gangs.
That's what I was about to say.
Right? If you're in a gang and you're in the Crips, fucking, you got caught with the Bloods, fucking a Bloods fucking chick.
Yeah.
Right? You'd think that the Crips would probably be like, well, fuck yeah, you fuck that fucking Bloods fucking bitch, fucking fuck yeah. But no, you just teamed on their side or whatever, right? So they're not going to, so the only way that you're going to do something back is you're going to fucking be like, here's fucking 5 fucking shoes and shoelaces of 5 Bloods that I took out, motherfuckers. Mm-hmm. Will you accept me back in now? That's what we're seeing right now.
Yeah. Well, how do we put an end to that? There's got to be some way of spreading the message of awakening. Something that works this time. You know, ever since the first wave came in and has been doing what they can to disrupt the system, we're running out of ways to try to help people awaken. So there has to be some kind of new way to get people to look at this. I don't know. That's what I'm hung up on. I think
it's just having the talk that we're having now. People have to make their own enlightenment happen. And so, again, it's not by doing what they would do by force or by creating something that people must do. It's like, to be in light work, it's about the freedom of people to be themselves and freedom. So people have to figure it out on their own. Maybe their own end times that they're fucking doing will wake them up.
Hopefully.
And that's what the hope part of it is. But it's also about, I think, people that are light workers speaking out, not against people, but just making them kind of question their own philosophies, their own indoctrination, their own programming. Because that's, you know, this shows what the awakening experience, right? So that's going to go into so many assets. One of them, of course, you and I love to talk about is programming. Like, how do you unprogram people? It's like, that's the deep roots of the program, right? It's like that's the longest program. And that's really where I think you brought up that it's kind of like masterpiece style and how they've done it, because it's ingrained so deep. Mm-hmm. And people, it's so weird. It's like they give you just a little bit of an out, like, well, if you sin, then you just ask for forgiveness. And in some of the religions, you show that forgiveness by either doing something like giving away your soul or blood for it, right? Or you just go, oh, I'm going to go do confession and everything's okay now, but I'll do 500 Hail Marys, like,
yeah,
right? But I mean, like, people don't realize, or it's just in more basic Christian Presbyterian churches now, just like, well, I prayed to God and, you know, I see what I did wrong. It's like, okay, so I can just go do whatever I want wrong and just like, I'm sinning, and then I'm sorry. I'm sorry I did that. I'm sorry I stole the money from these people. I'm sorry I lied to everybody about the fucking COVID jab, but, you know, I'm okay now. I did the right thing. I needed to help my family. I needed to make sure the FDA fucking signed off on that. And there's always a religious aspect to the behind the scenes of all that. Which that's the weird thing that people don't want to look at, you know. It's not about which religion's better and which one's not. They're all playing the same tune.
Yeah.
You know, they're just like different. There's a rock band. There's a bunch of people doing it as hip hop, and then there's a bunch of people doing it as a pop group. But they're playing the same song.
Yeah. I think a big part of it too is the fear, because it's a big ego battle. You know, everybody wants to be able to say, ha ha ha, I was right. And I think it's the fear that if they're proven wrong, they're going to be laughed at. And I think helping people understand that I'm not going to judge you when if you end up being wrong and I'm right. It's one thing, and just in life in general. You know, one thing that gets on my fucking nerves so bad is people who say, ha ha ha, told you so. I never do that. If I'm avidly arguing about something with you and you end up finding out, oh shit, you're right, I'm not going to say, ha ha ha, told you so. It's going to be like, okay, cool. I'm not going to, you know, like, I think they're afraid that people are going to be like, ha ha ha, I told you. And we got to make sure, see, because we're humans, we have egos too. And there's a part of us that wants to do that. There, you know, especially in this awakening experience, when it comes to all the crazy shit, we want to be able to say, ha ha, I told you, you stupid ass, but we can't do that. And them being afraid of that happening and that embarrassment, I think, is another thing that's making them dig their heels in even harder. And they need to understand that, no, I'm not going to laugh at you.
No.
Because, you know, your beliefs were wrong. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to, you know, be like, ha ha ha, I told you so. It's going to be like, okay, cool. So now can we work together? You know, and getting people to understand that there is no judgment with letting go of those belief systems. I think that would help a lot too.
Yeah, because I feel like that's the whole problem, is the judgment itself. The hangman's not judging, it's observing. And it's finding an enlightenment out of it. It's not judging something. It's just like, oh, this person did this, it's good. Okay, this person did this, it's bad. Okay, won't do that. It's not even making a noise, it's just observing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where, you know, the louder the people are, especially at this moment right now, the bigger I'm in observing mode. Because right now there's been a lot of loud voices right now popping up. And it's weird when you start to see society get really loud. When the war bells ring, and they're swayed by an AI pick.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and nobody wants to take that back if that's yesterday's news, because then they create the next crisis in front of it. And they don't see how the people brought that to it, right? If you're in a war machine, you need to have the backing of the people, because they're going to fight your war.
Yeah.
Right? So that people have to realize that's how top brass think. That part of all militaries is propaganda. How do we get to sway the people? All parts of governments with military too is, how do you sway the people to do this war?
Mm-hmm.
Has to have a narrative that a majority are for.
Yeah. I think it has to start becoming mainstream. They have to start, people like me and you have to start becoming mainstream. There has to be some kind of TV show or news anchor or school teacher or doctor or somebody, because I just seriously think we're at that point now where until it starts becoming mainstream and it starts being leaked in through the sources that all the sleepers trust, you know, the news, the TV, the teachers, the professors, the doctors and whatnot, because those people are God to these people, and they're going to follow whatever is coming out of their mouth. So I seriously think once some of this stuff starts getting leaked into mainstream, let a news anchor, let somebody on CNN start talking about manifestation and whatnot. And what I really think that's when we're really going to see the big turning point. Because I just don't think that all of these alternative, it's to the point now where all these alternative sources of media, like what we're doing here, I could be wrong, and I hate to give such a daunting perspective, but I just think that we've done all that we can do as far as the people that we're going to reach. I could be wrong, but I feel like the people who aren't awake now, they're not going to wake up until they're slapped awake or until you start feeding some of the information through their sources. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that we're at a hangman moment of observation as just over the last 6-7 years, people realize CNN is not in the middle, they're on the left. And so they lost all their ratings. And then Fox, they fired Tucker, they did all this, and then all the people on the right left Fox. And so it was a perfect moment for them all to cross. Now you're seeing people who watch Fox going, yeah, CNN is on the side of the war.
Yeah.
Right? And then people on CNN are watching Fox like, yeah, they're on the side of the war. And now they're cross-pollinated again. Now they're unified, and now they're on it doesn't matter what news network you watch, they're pumping the same thing.
Oh, wow.
That's what's happened just in this last fucking week. In the last week, they have all come back to the same place. It doesn't matter which one you're watching, they're all saying the same thing, and everybody's on the team. Right? So it's like, okay. It's like, all right, maybe this is the moment where people are going to realize that, especially I'm an astrologer, so this Pluto Capricorn, the ship is sinking, but yet right before a ship sinks or a relationship ends in life, what do? You fucking pump your last bit of hope and thinking that it's all okay, right? Before the crash of it all happens.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what you're seeing right now. You're seeing people, instead of just like accepting what's happening, and they don't want to accept it, so they're going to, here's a line, it's going to save you. CNN, Fox, we've got you. We're going to give you the same shit, just the same way. All right, I'll jump on your ship. Yeah, it's going to be okay. And like, again, it's that feeding of, they put the little warnings like, ooh, this could cause World War III. And people are like, oh, yes.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why the reptilians right now are just having a field day right now. You know? Because I'm not even kidding. It's crazy. Like, if you just go and see, whether it's on social media or even the news is just showing it, just people in their cars. Like, you're fucking Israeli, you're Palestinian, you're this, you're that. Fucking screaming. Like, you should be fucking in the streets dead. I'm like, whoa. They closed the 405 this weekend in LA because of protests. And protests all in every city right now, and it's about religion.
Just like you're not wearing a mask, you should be dead.
Right.
You're not vaccinated. I hope you die.
I know.
And they have you pick a side when it comes to, like that video I put on Instagram. First they had you pick a side with the race war, and that ran its course, and then it kind of died off. Then they had you pick a side on the gender war, and then that ran its course, and now it's fallen out. Then pick a side on sexuality, the battle of sexuality, and then that ran its course, and it's kind of died off. Now they're having you pick a side over a war between two other countries. And why are we even giving this a course to run? Don't the people, that's what's got me convinced that the people enjoy it. They enjoy it. They like it. They're like, okay, what's the next thing to be pissed about? I'm bored with that. What's the next thing to be mad about? And they like it. They're addicted to it. They are addicted to negativity. Their brains are programmed in such a way that their body is physiologically addicted to the chemicals produced by anger and stress. So they're addicted to it.
So what's been the biggest anger and stress of the last 2,000 years is the holy war over this land. That never got resolved, and that was everything pushed to make it seem like it was fine, but really what they've done is got people to go do their own history on it, and to, without realizing it, using their own family's Akashic records, bring all those up and get mad about it.
Yeah.
That side did this. Those are occupiers. We've been here longer. They did all of it. It's all there right now. It's like, oh my God, these are my people. This is my bloodline. This is my shit. This is what reptilians do.
Yeah, and they're coming up with a whole new.
Like, it's like dark shit.
Yeah, they're coming up with whole new arguments about who was in America first. Now I don't know if you've seen that. Now they're arguing about whether or not
we bought Most of America, by the way.
Well, now that
we did deals like Hawaii was Russia's, like, you know, we fucking did the Louisiana fucking deal for the South. Like, it's just like people don't realize the history. Like, it was the British, it was the French, it was the Spanish that conquered the Aztecs that then went up into create what now is known as Mexico and convert Aztecs into Christians. Like, it's like, again, it's not Americans.
Yeah. Well, what I was saying a minute ago was that now the argument is that African slaves weren't brought over here. They are the actual Native Americans. They were the ones here first. And it's just like, man, who gives a fuck?
I think the dinosaurs were here first.
Why do we got?
I thought the dinosaurs were here first, but you know.
But I mean, why do we have to keep drumming up the past? What is? Here's the question. Like, I don't give a shit who was here. What good is that going to do? What is your end goal?
I know.
What is your end goal by who was here first? Here in America or in Europe or wherever the fuck, or whoever the first humans were on the planet. What is your end goal? What are you trying to accomplish by saying that your people were here first? Okay. Then what? Okay, you were the first people here. Now what?
Right. You know why? Because it's like there's a bee right now, I heard on the media, that is buzzing around and it's going in front of all world leaders and it's going in front of all these people that are protesting, and it's saying that their honeycombs were here on earth before all people. But people are just fly swatting it away, and that bee right now is claiming it's suing the world government, the World Bank, that it needs to be fully recourse with everything that has ever been created by humanity. But I don't think it's going to happen for that bee.
Yeah. It's a good way to look at it.
You know, because, again, it's trying to pull backwards and not forwards. And what do we do forwards? Like, if you want to really gauge what's better, you're not going to ever get that, because all you do is take a whiteboard and go, okay, what was the atrocities this side did to that side, that side did to this side? And you get to an equal board game at the end of the day. When you do the history, I'm not saying in the moment or whatever, but again, it's all used intentionally to always have the, well, that was bad, but this was worse for longer.
Yeah.
And then and that just sounds like the most toxic relationship fight ever that never ends.
Yeah.
Just find the most two toxic people ever, get them in a relationship, and just get them in a room and have them slug it out and say, you can't leave, and just keep fucking... You're the one who fucking did it. You're the one who did it.
Yeah, that's where it's going too. That's what in 50 years. You know what it's going to be in 50 years, because you know how now everybody's coming down on white people because of the horrible things white people did back then. But they don't realize they're doing the same fucking shit the white people did back then. So guess what? This is going to run its course, and then 50 years from now the white people are going to be the victims, and it's just going to keep going back and forth and 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 back and forth, and it's like, at some point, when do we jam a stick in the wheel and grind it to a halt and quit bringing up the past?
Well, I think there's a dark part of that agenda. I think that's what's coming now, right? Is like the Christians are going to be that dark path. Like, you know what? Jewish people, Muslims, you guys have been at this for way too long. Even though we had the land for a little bit, we were not first, we were not last, but we were in the middle and we did it best. And try and pull a crusader thing. Because that's always what, right? The third people that's in this whole thing are the Christians. That's America, even though it's not a Christian nation, because they're in the separation of church and state. And no, it's not about Christ. But that's the whole irony of it all, right? Is like, oh, okay, we're here to help. And we care about both sides at the moment. We're trying to say that. And then, boom, they're going to let those two destroy each other. Then let us control it. And we're the ones, we're the right. And then again, it's like, what's the right religion? And that's where the hangman's just watching all this and just being like, damn, this is fucking crazier than watching the Kardashians.
Fucking human game is so stupid.
You know? But I think that this is going to be a moment where you're going to see people really step up to show the light. It's just, again, another one of those moments where it's like COVID, where people were too afraid to say shit, right? Because this is way more sensitive, because then they throw you as, now they're starting to do censorship. Like if you say anything against it, you're anti-Semitic on either side, right? So it's like, and especially when you mix religion, there's something about that's bigger, and the atrocities that have been done and all that stuff. And it's like, I think all of us humans have been through atrocities. We've all lost people. We've all gone through shit. We've all gone through so much, you know. It's like people forget you might not have to be from that religion or that group of people or that place. It's like, you know, whatever country you've been through, they've been through a war. They've been through horrible shit. You know, America's lost millions and millions of people, and the families of those through wars for the name of freedom or for the name of another country to do all this stuff. Or you could be in fucking South America and there's been horrible things that have happened there, or Africa, or where. It doesn't matter. People are getting so caught up in just their thing, and theirs is the worst story, and da-da-da. And, you know, there's genocides that happen everywhere. And that's the irony, is if I were to look at the hangman at this situation, the last 3 years was the worst worldwide genocide of all time. And this is how you forget it.
Yeah.
And you focus on the old past one. And that's what's wild to me, is like, now the story about the genocide that happened is in nobody's brains. They're focused on old genocides and who's worse on the genocide in the moment between countries, instead of that there was a worldwide genocide that just happened.
So what's the most...
That's how you get out of it, right? Is you get people distracted on, oh, look at the old genocide. Let's try and bring it, look like it back, but then cause another genocide and all these crazy... It's fucking like minuscule compared to the fucking genocide of fucking the millions, tens of millions of people who've been genocided out in the last 3 years.
Yeah,
and COVID, and permanently fucked up. And I'm not even talking just shot-wise. I'm talking about the effects of mental health, the kids and what they've learned, who knows about these poor kids who got these experimental shots to be able to have kids on their own, and the genocide that we're at the lowest birth rate of all time while more people are dying. So you're fighting over territory or land or your fucking religion, where fucking 10, 20 years from now, is that all going to matter when, well, you're sterile and you got myocarditis and you got, you know, like, it's like really weird.
Well, I mean, on a positive note, those of us who have never been vaccinated could probably get paid a lot to fucking bust a load in the cup. You know, but nah, seriously. So it all returns back to the same point. What's the most effective way of getting the people to see this shit? Them taking accountability for their own vibration. Helping people understand how to identify their vibration, how their vibration affects their life experiences, and then once you start becoming hypersensitive of that, then you start getting picky about what you listen to. Again, comes back to the same point. Manifestation. This is why learning manifestation is so important. Because guarantee you, if I said it a minute ago, everybody was manifesting something, money, their life partner, whatever, for the past 7 or 8 years, we wouldn't be going through this right now. It wouldn't be working.
No, this is getting to, if we talk about a collective trying to ascend, it's getting opposite into tribalism again, of this tribe's better than that tribe. And the fighting of tribes. So they're dividing, conquering, bigger than ever now. Which makes it hard, because now it's like, we could be on the same page of the light work and everything, but now there's this new thing. Like, what? My people and my religion are this. You can't come in. Or I can't be friends with you, right? So that's already happening with businesses, right? Like, you know, if it's Israeli or it's Palestinian or Muslim or anything, like, you're Israeli, you can't come in. You're Muslim, you can't come in. We won't serve you.
Well, here's what I've always wondered.
We won't do business with you. We won't do this with you. We won't do that with you. And you might not even be taking a side. You know, you have to be careful now. It's like, unless you're showing which side you're on. That's the new vaccine pass.
That's what I was about to ask. How do they know what side you're on?
You need to have a post that shows which side you're on. You need to have a flag with the support of which side you're on. So they use the gay whole, like what people are, the LGBTQ with the rainbow flag to be like, okay, they're on that side. They use the Ukraine as like, okay, we're on that side. Now it's, do you have an Israeli flag or a Palestinian flag up?
Does it?
And that's your vaccine passport now to get through life.
Does
whether
it?
you're going to get a job, whether you're going to stay into things, what access you're going to get to from banks in the future. Just think about it. The Middle East has oil, so they're going to have their banks and they're going to have their thing. And then the West is going to be joining with Israel. So it's going to be like, oh, what flag are you?
Does it never occur to people that they don't have to build their identity around what side they're on? I mean,
correct.
Like,
I mean, that's where it's the holdout, where the hangman is just like in support of all human beings, and of course every atrocity is horrible, and we put out the prayers that shit don't happen. We got to stop seeing all these evil in the world. But at the same time, like, you know, again, it's the same way with the vax, right? It's like, yeah, if coronavirus is happening, that's a shitty thing, but I don't have to wear a mask or I don't have to get vaccinated. Like, I have to worry about me. But this is where they start doing like, no, you need to worry about this or it'll affect you the same way, just more psyoped out.
light work is fucking exhausting. So exhausting.
Yeah, now that's the shot that you get, because or else you're shot in a different way.
People think they want to be a light worker. Try having like it imprinted into your DNA that here in this lifetime, your one mission is to try to help humans understand that we're all one. Like, have that, and look at the shit that we're facing out here, and look what's going on out there. And imagine that. That's what's burned into your DNA. That's your instinct, is that you have to figure out some way to effectively, because all the other things obviously haven't really worked. So effectively figure out how to take the most lost, broken, sleepy fucking sheepies and get them to open their eyes. And that's the fire that burns in your fucking soul when they're still playing these stupid fucking games and everybody's biting the hook every time they throw the bait in the pond. And that's on you. That's what being a real light worker is. You know what I'm saying? And it's fucking exhausting.
I mean, maybe that's what Project Blue Meme is to show aliens, and then really it's like more of an agenda of like to get people out of religion just to stop the fucking fighting.
Hopefully, but the question is,
what if that would be a trip? I'm not saying that's going to happen or that's got a good agenda behind it. But what's like that? What's going to happen? Because that's like that fucking side piece that the hangman's aware of. Like, we know that they put the alien thing out this year, official, and to everybody on the mainstream.
Yeah.
Right before all this happened.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, and then what was right before that? The nuclear. You need to prepare for nuclear war. Are you prepared that a nuke's going to go off? Right? That was the beginning of this year with the whole Ukraine and Russia thing. Like, Russia's claiming they'll use nukes. Blah, blah, blah. So now you're at a place where, why would they agenda nuclear into your consciousness to program? And if you took that one, okay, now the next one, it's like, oh, they're preparing you for financial collapse. Then they're preparing you by aliens and UAPs and saying that we have crash ships with, they don't even say what it is. They just say non-human DNA in it, right? DNA can be in anything. It could be a fucking plant from another planet.
Yeah.
Okay? Seriously. Like, with a non-human entity. Like, it could just literally be a plant from another planet. It could be a rock from the moon. Right? So it's like, okay, now all this. How do all those things come together? They're trying to, then the Higgs fucking glider, the one in America that's up in the Midwest, just fucking fired up this week too. Mm-hmm. And they fucking found some new idea that they're going to use more power and slam it together better. So they're playing with time shit too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're smashing that shit with all this other stuff that they smashed in at the same time. So I'd say being in a much more observational space and also not getting sucked into it all by being positive and by, you know, it's like, I don't know one person in this world who would think what's been happening is good, you know, like it's all bad.
Yeah.
That's what I don't see is like people saying this is bad, but also like, what about all these other things, right? It's like not trying to take a side here, just looking at what it's horrible what's happened.
Yeah.
But it's like that's where it's like, no, you have to say it's horrible and then you have to pick your side. It's like you do not have to choose that scenario.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as long as, like I said, at the end of the day, I hold the firm belief that the overwhelming majority of the big operation is being overseen by a good force. So in retrospect, it's all going to play out for the best. But we could mitigate so much of this bullshit if people would wake up faster. You know, that's the only reason why things are happening the way they're happening from the big perspective of the just because the good is in control of the things that are happening doesn't mean that bad things aren't going to happen, because you have to show the people, you have to show them how bad it's getting. They have to allow them to see it. And that's the part that's a pain in the ass, because they're so asleep they have to be shown, which, I mean, as long as we can trust the forces behind, like you were saying, like, wow, what are they preparing us for? Like, if they put the aliens out there, then that'll squash religion. Okay, well, that's cool. But then what are they going to do with that? Does that make sense? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, or the aliens pick a religion that's the right one.
Yeah, see?
Right? And then that makes everybody pissed, and then, you know, I mean, like that's where, you know, the psyops are going to get crazy, is the idea that like what would it be as if like an Israeli flag came out of a spaceship with a holographic alien, or what if it was a Palestinian flag, or what was if it was a fucking American flag, or what was if it was a dead body of Christ that was glowing with white light?
Yeah.
Or what if it was, you know, fucking whatever. Like like people have to like start thinking of like being more of an hangman and getting the understanding, like, well, you put this out, and then you drop that to get to this. Okay. I know I felt like I was in a suspension here. It's the same way with the shot, right? It was like, okay, it's an experiment. It's a military operation. Operation Warp Speed. Okay. I don't know if I'm really ready to warp speed my life into taking an experiment, so I'm going to observe. And if I die, I die, because it didn't feel like I was going to die.
Yeah.
Right? The hangman's like, I'm not going to die. I'm pretty chill. Right? So now you look at people who have more regrets than not, right? Everybody's coming out that took that shit. I fucking wish I didn't get that. My doctor's saying I've got cancer because of this. My doctor's saying I got this from this. And all the data's out. And how do you stop that? How do you stop the genocide? You put out all this shit. You know, you think anybody's going to court's going to be over that shit when there's already, now there's war criminals, and look at the rules of, you know, the international laws in war, right? Now that's where it's all going. It's like, are you going to bring in the whole like pandemic thing? So
Probably.
that's actually probably where it'll end up going too. Or
Probably.
that's where they're going to start to throw in the, you know, how do they bring everyone together but against another side, is when China gets involved or anything. And it'll be like, no, wait, we're all together because we're here to get rid of you. You caused us to get in this fight. And then we'll get back to our fighting once you're gone. Like this is the carrot to another huge carrot. And everybody's just, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was a good show.
Yeah, we needed to talk about that.
Well, it's so hangman too. It's so like, it's not a bad place to be an observer and sit. It's not even sitting out. It's observing and really putting yourself in a really positive posture and being cool and just getting the observations so you understand, so you can see those things. Because people are forgetting about it. They're going so fast.
Mm-hmm.
And they've Operation Warp Speeded themselves now into this.
That's your fucking superpower. Your ability to do this for the next year is your fucking superpower. Because, like I said, if you take a look back, see right now where we're at, we're in the October leading up to election year.
Right.
Last October leading up to election year, think about how they were warming us up then to what they were about to do.
Right.
It was nothing compared to how they're warming us up now.
Yeah.
So if they're warming us up this heavy, oh, it's going to get fucking nuts, dude. It's going to get crazy. And your ability to just step back and observe without making any crazy, stupid decisions, without shitting your pants and losing your mind, your ability, if you could do this for a year throughout 2024, dude, that's your superpower.
Yep.
That is what would eventually end up leading to the collapse of the whole damn game.
Right.
That's how we could all come back together
Yep.
and mitigate all this crazy shit. So, very important.
I agree. That couldn't have been said any better for these times, especially now, to apply that. Well, it was a good one. Make sure you check us out. Rich on his channel, Rich Lopp. Of course, High Vibe TV. Much love. See you on the next one. Adios.